to the world. Spread the word.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to this series from Peace TV on explaining Islamic finance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's love for human beings is 70 times more than the love of a mother. A mother loves the child in an extreme manner, as we can see. As such, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has opened the whole world for us to do trading, to enjoy it, except very few items and very few activities which are harmful for human beings. And this is a proven fact that alcohol, pork, and definitely the tobacco has created a lot of harm to human beings. And similarly, the indulgence in the interest-based transactions has also brought the whole world down. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is only trying to tell us this is the way to go because these are beneficial for you, and this is the way not to go because these are harmful for you. This is exactly like a mother does. The only difference is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's love for human beings is much, much more than the love of a mother for her child. Sharing the risk. This is very, very important from Sharia perspective. And when we talk about sharing the risk, we mean that we are simply not creating a firewall between the money which has been lent and then what does that money do. There can be no firewall. You have to be involved. If the money has been taken away from you to be invested in a business, you should be there to enjoy the benefits, and you should also be there to share if there are any losses, because all the profits and all the losses are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you are happy at earning profit, you should be content with bearing a loss. It should not be one way. It should be both ways. And accordingly, we say that accept loss in the same spirit as you enjoyed the profit. And this is exactly what the equity will do. Loan will not do it. Because if you are using the loan capital, then loan capital will basically dictate its price in shape of a predetermined amount, irrespective of the outcome of the application of those funds. Avoid interest. This is also one of the do's. Avoid interest as if your life is dependent upon avoiding it. If somebody tells you, don't go to this place because there are robbers and they might kill you, you will never go to that area. There are certain areas in certain renowned cities of the world where it's no-go. So you cannot go there and you would not do that. If you are in that city, you know very well that you will not go there because you might risk your life. Similarly, avoid interest as if your life is dependent upon avoiding it. And this is only true because Allah is trying to protect you. Accommodate delays in payments. Sometimes we have seen in the conventional financial world that not only the financial institutions or even the private lenders, they increase the interest amount without any pre-agreed arrangement. First of all, entering into a ribawi contract, interest-based contract at an agreed rate is itself non-permissible in Sharia. On top of that, if you delay, if somebody who has borrowed money on interest, if he delays, then what they do is that they hike up the interest rate without giving you any notice, or without getting your approval. And obviously, they also try to manipulate by adding a layer of penalty interest. So it means that it is killing. The principal will disappear in somewhere in the layers and layers of interest. And you will forget how much you had actually borrowed, but you will remember how much you have to pay back with the layers of interest. In Sharia, it is clear-cut in this holy book, this Quran, that if somebody cannot make you the payment of a debt, and in Sharia, the debt must be interest-free debt. There are types of debts. a debt which results in shape of a transaction. For example, A is selling to B on a deferred basis certain permitted goods. B will pay on a deferred date. So there is a debt. It means B is indebted to A. So there is a transactional debt, but obviously there is no interest on it. So if B, due to no fault of B, ends up in some kind of financial problem and could not settle to A in time, it is not allowed for A to increase the amount because, first of all, there was a sale transaction. Certain commodity or goods have been sold, and they have been sold at a predetermined and a prefixed sale price, which includes the seller's cost, the seller's profit. Just because the buyer could not pay in time does not warrant the seller to increase the sale price. It is a closed chapter. As per Sharia, you allow more time to the debtor to settle the debt without increasing the amount of the debt. This is one of the do's in Sharia. Going to the next point, help poor and needy from zakat and sadaqat. When you talk about zakat, it is an obligatory charity. It's not voluntary. You have to pay it. And sadaqat is voluntary. We learned earlier that all the worldly resources belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and given to man in trust. So we don't own them, but we are trustees. As if Allah is telling us, I'm giving you $100. You keep 97.5 US dollars in your pocket for yourself. Just give away $2.5 US to poor and needy. The money is coming from the owner of the money, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is appointing us as a trustee and telling us, $2.5 US, give it to the poor and needy, and you can keep 97.5 US dollars. So this $2.5 US can do wonders. If all over the world zakat is taken out correctly, honestly, believe me, there will be no poverty in this world. I'm not talking about Muslim world. I'm talking about entire world. And look at the philosophy of zakat. When you talk about taxation, taxation encourages to hide the wealth. You have the tax advisors who tell you how you can pay lesser and lesser tax. And zakat takes the money out, not hide it. So in this case, we are talking about a totally different, a radically different system whereby the wealth basically is taken out to help poor and needy. Look at another wisdom of zakat, that if the person who is taking out zakat will go to the person who needs zakat, because there are two, either you can be on this side or that side. Either you are the person who needs zakat or you are a person who pays zakat. So if you are, mashallah, in a position that you take out zakat, so you go and you give zakat in a manner, in a discreet manner, not to injure somebody's self-respect, and offer him that I'll be obliged if you please accept my zakat. Imagine the goodwill which will be created in the heart of the poor for the rich person who is paying the zakat. So it eliminates hasad or jealousy. Sharia is a system which basically is full of wonders. Here we are talking about, and a lot of wealthy people always are worried about this aspect of jealousy. And they are always worried that people will put nazar or evil eye on their wealth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us a perfect remedy for this and telling us, pay zakat correctly. And once you pay zakat, then the person who is receiving zakat will pray for you, will pray that your wealth increases manifold, because his own interest is there, because the more your wealth will increase, the more wealth you will be able to take out as zakat, and the more he will be benefiting. Can you imagine? Can you compare this system with any system, the worldly system? Never. This is a divine system. And not only that the person who is receiving zakat is being grateful and praying for the person who is paying zakat, but also the person who is giving zakat his wealth is being multiplied by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by many times. And it's coming back. That 2.5% is coming back to him many times. So it is unending. Our life will end, but this will not end. The person who takes out zakat correctly, his children, his heirs will benefit from his charity for a number of years to come after he has gone away from this world. And not only in this world, he'll get the benefit in the hereafter as well. We'll take a short break and we'll come back soon. And we hope that you'll be there, inshallah, with us when we continue with this discussion.
Spread the word of Islam.
Judaism, Christianity, and Islam.
Dr. Lawrence Brown.
They all believe in one God and the prophets of God. Then where is the difference? Which is the religion of truth? Which is the right path? Which is the true revelation? Travel the chain of revelation with me, and let's find the true religion of God.
Join Dr. Lawrence Brown in Interfaith Issues tomorrow at 4 p.m. and repeat telecast at 1:30 a.m. Saudi Arabia on Peace TV.
What is the meaning of the word fundamentalist? The concept of jihad. Who are terrorists?
Watch Dr. Zakir Naik.
Who marry more than one wife. They are labeled as terrorists, fundamentalists, who spread the religion with the sword.
Misconceptions about Islam in Truth Exposed, starting from this Tuesday at 9 p.m. and repeat telecast at 7:30 a.m. Saudi Arabia on Peace TV. Peace TV presents.
We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that may He make this Dubai International Peace Convention larger and bigger every time.
The philosophy for real peace.
Listen to the words of Allah. Every word in the Quran is perfect. This is the message of Allah which He wanted us to communicate to the whole world.
Pure, pragmatic, perfect.
The Muslims Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created for the humanity.
Respond in a way that is best.
Its basis to promote infallible teachings, righteous principles.
Islam, it means peace. Worship none but Him. You will be at peace.
True values.
Each and every Muslim, you have to obey the commandments of Allah.
To create a society free from chaos.
My mission of life is peace in every home.
Know the greatness of simple and successful living in Islam in Vogue. Tonight at 10 p.m. and repeat telecast at 7 a.m. Saudi Arabia on Peace TV.
Spread the word of Islam.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome back, and let us continue with our discussion. And I'm praying for the person who is paying zakat, but also the person who is giving zakat, his wealth is being multiplied by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by many times. And it's coming back. That 2.5% is coming back to him many times. So it is unending. Our life will end, but this will not end. The person who takes out zakat correctly, his children, his heirs will benefit from his charity for a number of years to come after he has gone away from this world. And not only in this world, he'll get the benefit in the hereafter as well. And when we talk about sadaqat, which is basically voluntary obligation, whereas zakat is obligatory, then it is totally different ballgame altogether, because zakat is an obligation. But if you do something more than that, which comes under the classification of zakat, then obviously what you are going to get, you cannot imagine. So the need of the hour is that zakat can be used as a tool to eradicate poverty. It can be used, the zakat fund can be used for the poor Muslim countries on a microfinance basis, for example, one of the ways to eliminate the poverty, because the aim is not to make those people who are receiving zakat complacent. This is not the aim. The aim is to make them stand on their own 2 feet so that a time comes that they are in a position to pay zakat themselves. So they cross the divide. They come from the divide where the zakat is being received to a divide where the zakat is being paid. So it becomes sahib nisab, or the person who is basically entitled to take a zakat. And this zakat on minerals or treasures which are basically extracted from earth is more than 2.5%. So all the wealth which is coming out of the earth, there is no holding period on that. For zakat there is a holding period. So if we take out zakat on wealth and rikaz on minerals, you cannot imagine how this world will become a completely different place. It will become a heaven only with using one aspect of Islamic finance. Talking about differences between the loan capital and risk capital, let me read out a very good definition I have got here, which basically tells you as to how the loan capital, when it is applied, how it results, and then when the risk capital is applied, what is the outcome. I'll read out first the loan capital definition, which says that the loan capital dictates its price for participation in a transaction irrespective of the outcome of the application of funds, whether positive or negative, in shape of a predetermined rate. So if I'm lending money on interest, I don't care what is going to be the outcome of the application of those funds. I want my money back with a predetermined interest. And if you don't pay me, obviously you will pay me compounding interest, and you will also pay me the penalty interest. Contrary to that, look at the risk capital. The risk capital is rewarded for its participation in a transaction to the extent of the value that its participation creates. It could be positive or it could be negative, and which was unknown at the time of the application of funds. This is the real equity. This is the real rasmal. This is the real capital. It means that when you are applying the risk capital, you are actually applying your equity, and you are there to benefit from it, or if there is a deficit, then you are there to share it. Sharia requires capital to be used only as risk capital and not as loan capital. Taking it further, let us see the outcomes of loan capital, and when the risk capital is applied, what is the outcome. We have discussed in the earlier program that the loan capital creates rigidity, and then there are a lot of interest layers. Loan capital also increases the cost of production or a transaction. If you undertake a transaction based on the loan capital, it will increase the cost of transaction. If you apply the loan capital in a production process, the per unit cost will go up. For example, if a factory owner producing a Sharia compliant goods goes to a conventional loan and gets a conventional loan with interest and applies that loan in the production process, he has got certain order to be fulfilled, and he has basically applied this amount in getting the raw material and converting it into finished goods. So the factory accountant, when he will ascertain the per unit cost, there will be different elements of costing, and one costing element which he will have will be interest expense. So it means that by that amount, the production cost per unit will go up. It means the interest basically is the culprit in increasing the cost of production worldwide. The risk capital, to the contrary, helps to curtail the cost of production or a transaction. In the risk capital, if the same factory owner goes to an Islamic bank and will submit a proposal that he has received a certain order and certain goods needs to be produced, then the Islamic bank, after evaluating, will be ready to invest its equity in producing those goods and, of course, Sharia compliant goods, and to exporting them and getting the sale proceeds and then the sharing the profit with the. So what will happen here is that the factory accountant, when he will ascertain the per unit cost for the production per unit, one element which will be missing from this per unit cost ascertainment will be the interest expense, because the Islamic bank does not charge interest. So if the transaction brings in profit, Islamic bank will share the pre-agreed ratio of distribution of the profit. So where is interest? So by using the Islamic bank's equity, by using the risk capital, the factory owner has been able to reduce or curtail the cost of production. So here is an example which the world can take. Loan capital approach deprives flow of capital to the SME sector, the small and medium entrepreneurs. These are the most neglected people. You go to any country, the SME sector does not get the required support. They can never realize their full potential because they're always short of capital. How much can they invest from their own pocket? That's why they're called SMEs. So there should be institutions who would come forward and would invest their equity with them. But because of this serviceability and the rating measure, these people are deprived. The SME sector is deprived. They cannot realize their full potential. And what is the serviceability? The issue here is that either you are looking at the second way out first, or you are looking at the first way out first. When you talk about the loan capital, it always looks at the second way out first. What is the second way out? The people, the borrowers per se. But they never look at the project in a manner that it deserves to be looked into. So we talk about the risk capital, which looks at the first way out first, which is what is the project, where the equity will be invested, how the return will come out, and then the risk capital, after making sure that the capital will go into the right project which will generate the desired return, obviously then the risk capital will be invested in those. But in the loan capital paradigm, we are always looking at the second way out first, as to who is the person who is borrowing, how much money does he already have, what guarantees can he provide, what mortgages can he provide, how we can secure our principal plus interest. In case of risk capital, we are not looking at who is behind it. We are looking at the project first, because you are there yourself on the ground. Your equity is being invested, and you are also taking part in running of the project. So you don't need to look too much into, obviously it is important to look at who is the promoter, but it doesn't mean that you should only look at the promoter and you should not look at the project itself. So here the distinction is coming out very clearly as to the risk capital and the loan capital. The risk capital provides the opportunity to the investor to share the profit, which is not the case with the loan capital. For example, if an amount has been borrowed from an interest-based bank at an interest rate which is low, like for example currently the interest rates are quite low, the borrower will use this money to generate high return profit, because he is investing this money to produce goods which are high in demand in the market, and he is dictating his terms and he is getting a very good profit. For example, from one transaction he got about 20-25% return possible. But what he is paying to the bank is LIBOR based return. For example, LIBOR is currently very low, so it could be somewhere below 3%. 25% overall return from one transaction got. What he is paying to the bank is 3%, 3.5% per annum. It means this money he can roll over 2 times, 3 times maybe. So his return by using the bank's money, maybe 75%, maybe 80%. What he's paying to the bank is 3.5%, 4% per annum. It is not justified. The conventional bank, having lent the money on interest, cannot claim anything more than that. With this, we come to an end for this discussion. And inshallah, we'll see you in the next episode. Please do join us then. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Spread the word, oh man. Spread the word of Islam. Oh, fortunate one. Paradise must be won.